So we have learned that as parents, we need to teach our children to negotiate solutions to problems within the limits that are acceptable for the situation. And this can go a long way towards increasing harmony in families and preparing kids to succeed in our democratic society. And the FLAC method is an effective process for solving family problems as well as individual ones. Whether you have regularly scheduled family meetings or you call a meeting only when you need to solve a problem or end a power struggle, FLAC can help using the four active parenting skills in the FLAC method in a family meeting. It has added value of communicating that we are a family of problem solvers and everybody's ideas and feelings are valuable. And the participation and the respect that's generated can lessen the power struggles while generating a cooperative energy that produces highly creative solutions to problems. So before you use the FLAC method in a family meeting for the first time, you're going to want to explain the method to your family by going over the steps. You don't need to feel that you have to follow these steps rigidly, but you can use them as guidelines to help your meetings run smoothly. So the first step is to clarify the problem, then share your feelings and your thoughts, then state the limits that are involved, brainstorm some alternatives and choose one by consensus, and then decide on the consequences if needed. So F is for feelings, L is for limits, A is for alternatives, and C is for consequences. So FLAC. So let's go back to step one, clarifying the problem. It's important to begin by stating the problems in terms of behavior and not attacking the child's personality. So we don't want to say, I have a problem with you being lazy. It's better to say, I have a problem with how messy your room is. Then we want to share our feelings and thoughts about the behavior. Remember that building our children's emotional intelligence means helping them to learn to listen to other people's thoughts and feelings as well as their own. And with that in mind, the next step is to encourage sharing. So we can use the skills that we learned in lesson 2 to avoid those communication blocks while getting everybody's thoughts and feelings out on the table. So the child will say, but it's my room, so what's the big deal? And mom might say, I understand it's your room and that putting things away is a hassle, but I guess I've learned how important it is to be organized and I want you to be able to find things when you need them. And dad might say, and I just feel kind of frustrated when I walk in there and clothes are laying everywhere, drawers half open, and toys all over the place. And the child says, good, then don't go in there. And the father says, well, I don't feel good about not helping you learn good habits. Then we can state the limits that are involved. Limits are sometimes set by outside authorities like governments and schools or businesses, and they reflect the rules that everybody has to live by or help to change. But in the family, limits are often set by the parents as family values, and these values will vary from family to family. And some parents are okay with the child having a messy room as long as he keeps the mess from the public areas of the house. But in this example, the parents have a different value and they're free to voice it. So dad might say, besides, in our family, we want to take pride in our home, and that means keeping it responsibly or reasonably neat. Then we want to brainstorm alternatives and choose one by consensus. And by generating these possible solutions and discussing them as you go, you can often come up with something everybody can live with. And this is called consensus decision making. You don't vote, but rather continue to discuss until you can find an agreement that everybody can accept. When a consensus can't be reached, then it's up to the parents as leaders in the family to decide the best of the possible choices, taking into account everybody's thoughts and feelings. So mom might say, maybe we can think of a solution that everybody feels good about. Does anybody have any idea? And then after a discussion, mom would say, okay, then we agree that we won't bug you every day about cleaning your room, but you will take care of it before you go play outside on Saturdays. I'll help you organize it this Saturday so that you will know what we expect from now on. Oh, and we all like Dad's idea of taking a picture of it afterwards, so you'll have a model of what it should look like before you come and have us check it each week. And so then we decide on the consequences if it's necessary. In our example about the messy room, the family came up with a solution and a logical consequence, as part of their brainstorming in step 4. But there's going to be situations where a logical consequence is added after the solution is chosen in order to motivate the child to keep the agreement. And whether you need a consequence or not depends on your child's track record. And if he's been responsible about keeping his agreements, then adding a logical consequence might be seen as disrespectful, and it can actually backfire. But other kids with a history of testing the limits will usually understand the need to add a consequence. Then we can follow up. There's an old saying that you get what you inspect, not what you expect. So in other words, we need to expend the effort to make sure agreements are kept and that consequences are followed through. This only presents an opportunity to encourage a child for a good job, remind them of what still needs work, and to provide further help if necessary. So in the case of the messy room, if the child keeps their agreement, it's essential that you're encouraging that child with a word of praise or even a positive I message. So the child might say, okay, I'm ready for somebody to check my room. And then dad comes in, looks around. Okay, nice job. Let's check the picture. Very nice. Everything seems to be in place, and I especially like the way that you put your toy lion on the pillow. That's a creative touch. Your room really looks great. And of course, if there's still problems, you can compliment your child's progress and remind them of what still needs to be completed. So dad might say, hey, this is really starting to look good, and I like the way that you've organized things. Let's see how the picture looked about making the bed. And the child will say, oh yeah, I'll fix it. And dad will say, great, then you're going to be all set to go outside and play.